Well, we all know that most of it is all touch-up and airbrushed and cropped up. So this way, I mean, if you look at some of the magazines and then you look at some of the tabloid versions of the same person, it's not the same person.
Right.
But I'm sure that there's quite a bit of comedy there. Now, when it comes to the material you cover, how do you choose the material on every event? I mean, every production that you do as a comic?
Well, I definitely know that my audience is women. Most priority is going to be emphasizing the plus-size woman, but really all women have issues with their body image. Even if they are the perfect weight on the doctor's scale, they're still going to obsess about dieting and fighting those images. So my material covers everything from Botox to detox, from Turkish baths to slenderizing body wrap. So I cover, the grandmother that overfed me and all those kind of things that build themselves into a woman's life that ends up being a plus-size woman later in life, and seeing them from the absurdities of it and just having fun with it instead of being neurotic about it.
Now, is it because are you trying to, if it was a guy saying what you say, it would be, they'd be, put on a spit somewhere. But explain to us, how is it that you're able to create comedy from your situation that is, that people can enjoy as well as laugh at?
Well, the first thing you always have to do if you're going to seriously try to deliver stand-up is you always want to travel with a notebook. And whenever you see or hear anything remotely funny, a crazy bumper sticker, an observation of something that you saw on a t-shirt, a billboard, just a scenario of people talking in a restaurant, everything can become comedy if you're tuning your eyes and your ears in to see it that way. And it can be learned. And if you're naturally funny, it's even easier to turn it into a stand-up routine.
Now, when it comes to venues, well, what kind of venues do you enjoy most?
Well, the venues that would enjoy me the most, I love to just make people happy, and I love to impart joy to people wherever I am. But the people that would appreciate me the most would be mostly adult events, specifically geared toward women, anything from luncheons to fundraisers to girls' nights out, to conventions and even retreats that would focus on women and adults, because once women love and accept the way that they look and their value does not come from their outward appearance, they can project that into their marriage and encourage couples to come closer to each other. So it's really a total package. Now,
has the economy influenced your decision to become a comic?
Absolutely. There's so many safeguards in place when you have that security of that 9-to-5 job. And it really prevents you from stretching yourself because you have that regular paycheck you can count on. But now that the economy is so up in the air and so many of us find ourselves with a whole lot more free time than we used to, it gave me the courage. It's the silver lining at the end of that cloud, which is the courage and the freedom to find what you're truly meant to do instead of investing your whole self into your paycheck. And I encourage anybody out there that finds themselves a little bit down and out or with extra time in your hands to pursue your dream and to look into yourself and find out what you're supposed to do.
Now, you consider that your comedy is a gift to the audience. Can you elaborate on how you feel it's a gift?
Absolutely. Well, we all know that laughter is the best medicine. And when the country was at war back in, the World War II era, that Bob Hope would go to the troops overseas. And why is that? Because when you're in a distressful situation, the laughter can help you keep your sanity, it can keep you optimistic, it can pull you out of a pit of depression that you might fall into if you don't have anything to look forward to. And secondly, my comedy is clean, which is another rarity these days. And clean comedy will encourage families to be able to come out and hear or see and enjoy together and bond together over something that we used to do all the time when we were kids, but that's not available anymore. So it's a gift to families to have clean comedy.
Well, because usually when I associate going to a comedy club, it's more of, raunchy, it's even taking your girlfriend probably would be sometimes too much where they go overboard.
Right.
So when you say clean comedy, explain, is it totally adult and, like PG-13, I guess, in presentation?
Well, Every comedian and every comedy club has their own version of clean. When I say clean, I mean that you can bring your kids, your parents, and your pastors. I mean, there is nobody that's going to be offended by my comedy. Not everybody can say that, but that's where I'm coming from. I feel like the audience deserves to be respected, that I value the fact that they have the right to laugh and not be offended or insulted. I don't make fun of myself, I don't make fun of them, and I'm certainly not going to offend them by bringing material to their children's ears that they don't need to be hearing at the wrong time. So when I perform, it is completely adult humor with the topics that I cover, such as the Botox, the detox. Obviously, kids don't really get those subjects, so it's adult subject matter, but it's in a completely clean and unoffensive way.
Now, when it comes to the audience, when the audience leaves uplifted, how do you take, what do you take away from that presentation? Is that your goal at every event?
Absolutely. I've always been a joyful person, and that is my number one goal, is that I want to impart the joy, and I want to uplift people, and I want them to be able to have something to look forward to, that beacon of light, that bright spot in their week. Something that they can look forward to. It's very important to me that I give to the audience what I have to give, which is joy.
Now, when it comes to television, what is it about television, that you feel is either good or bad, and especially because you don't find much comedy in today's TV.
And if you do, look out, make sure the kids are in bed. So, right, I am very disturbed by the complete void of family programming these days. Back in our day, we would sit around with the Carol Burnett show, the Sonny and Cher show. Before that, you had Laugh-In. Before that, you had Sid Caesar. Awesome quality family hours that the whole family actually truly enjoyed. But nowadays, you've got exclusively kids' cartoon networks, which obviously only work for them, or you've got everything else, which can get into language and raunch, and even the supposedly so-called family channels, they're still too intense, really, for all ages. So there's a dreadful lack of choices, and it really disturbs me.
Today, today's comedy is, I think during the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, comedy was huge. You had from, your Andrew Dice Clay,
right.
who was, supremely controversial in some respects.
Right.
You don't see too much, comedy marketing today. Tell us a little bit about what your goals are for comedy.
Well, back in the day of just the major network TV, the free stations with the rabbit ears, you'd get those fantastic shows that I was just talking about. Then when cable came in, they started to segregate into adult channels, and then the comedians just started getting more and more crude and profane, so they started getting shifted more and more over to the adult channels, which really left nothing to the family channels. And so all the different shows are segregated onto specialty networks, and there's really no one network that will entice the whole entire family anymore. So that's something that we need to do something about. So that's part of my long-range goal, is to bring back the family comedy hour, which is completely missing. Anybody under the age of 35 probably never even heard of these kind of shows. They wouldn't know a family comedy hour if it bit them. So we need that back in our TV choice lineup. So I want to do that. I want to head that up.
So what do you think that the next generation is going to be influenced by in today's, I don't know, it's just tough to calculate,
right,
of how the next generation is going to be influenced when they don't have a lot of the varieties and it's all stuck in little niches.
I know, that's what I mean. And we can all recall a comedian or an entertainer or a singer who made their empire, built their career around offending parents and influencing kids and teens in the wrong direction. And then the minute they had their own children, guess what? They cleaned up their language, they started doing family movies, they started writing children's books. All of a sudden now they're, as cuddly as Santa Claus. So if it's not appropriate for their children, it's not appropriate for our children. We all need to take responsibility as a nation filled with the next generation to clean up Hollywood, clean up TV.